Loneliness, it's a feeling we all experience at some point. It can be quiet, creeping in unnoticed, or it can be overwhelming, making us feel lost in a world full of people. But what if loneliness wasn't just an empty space? What if, instead of something to escape, it was something to embrace? Today we share a story that will help you rethink loneliness, not as a curse, but as an opportunity for personal growth, self-discovery, and meaningful connection. Through this journey, you will learn how loneliness can be transformed into a guiding light, helping you build resilience, inner peace, and deep connections. Meet Alex, a young man who once thrived in social circles but found himself feeling increasingly disconnected. Despite being surrounded by people, he felt unseen, unheard, and alone. Every conversation felt superficial, and every interaction seemed distant. Over time, he started withdrawing, avoiding messages, and preferring solitude over forced socialization. The loneliness that started as a whisper became a heavy weight on his shoulders. His thoughts became a loop of self-doubt, amplifying the silence that surrounded him. Alex realized that his loneliness wasn't just about being alone, it was about feeling disconnected, even when surrounded by people. He started recognizing patterns in his emotions, how certain thoughts, comparisons, and expectations deepened his sense of isolation. He noticed how social media only heightened his loneliness, making him feel like an outsider looking in. He knew he needed to make a change, but he didn't know where to start. One evening, as Alex sat alone, his grandfather placed an empty jar in front of him. "Loneliness is like this jar," he said. "It may seem empty, but it holds space. And space isn't nothingness, it's potential. You get to decide what fills this space. Will it be fear and self-doubt, or will it be growth and discovery? The choice is yours." His grandfather's words struck a chord. Alex had been seeing loneliness as a punishment when in reality it was an opportunity. An opportunity to rebuild, to fill his life with meaningful experiences, and to find joy in his own presence. He began wondering, how can I use my alone time in a way that nurtures me instead of making me feel empty? Inspired by his grandfather's words, Alex decided to take small steps. Instead of filling his empty time with distractions, he filled it with purpose. He picked up an old guitar, started sketching, and even took up meditation. The activities gave him a sense of fulfillment he hadn't felt in a long time. He also made small social efforts, sending a message to an old friend, saying hello to his neighbor, or simply smiling at a stranger. Though uncomfortable at first, these small actions helped him regain confidence and feel a sense of connection to the world around him. The more he engaged with the world, the more he realized that he wasn't as alone as he once believed. The more Alex focused on self-improvement, the less lonely he felt. His alone time transformed from isolation to solitude, a space of peace and reflection. He realized that being alone didn't have to mean being lonely. Instead of fearing silence, he embraced it. He started journaling, reflecting on his thoughts, and asking himself deeper questions. What truly makes me happy? What kind of life do I want to build? His journey inward was uncomfortable but necessary. It led him to an understanding of himself he never had before. Through self-discovery, he began seeing loneliness not as a burden, but as a passage to something greater. As Alex spent more time nurturing his own passions, he naturally attracted deeper connections. Instead of seeking validation from social media or casual acquaintances, he found meaningful friendships with people who shared his interests. He realized that deep connections don't come from having more friends, but from having the right ones. The kind that encourage growth, listen without judgment, and truly understand. Quality over quantity became his new philosophy. One of the biggest challenges Alex faced was putting himself out there again. He had been so used to withdrawing that reconnecting with others felt daunting, but he took small steps, smiling at a stranger, initiating conversations, and accepting invitations. Over time, his confidence grew. He reminded himself that everyone feels awkward sometimes, that rejection is not personal, and that connection is built over time. The more he engaged, the more he realized that people were more welcoming than he had assumed. He understood that vulnerability was not a weakness, but a bridge to genuine relationships. One evening, as Alex watched the sunset, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. Instead of focusing on what he lacked, he focused on what he had. He started journaling 3 things he was grateful for each day, and with time, his outlook on life changed. Gratitude became his anchor, reminding him that there was beauty in the smallest moments: a warm cup of coffee, a good book, or a simple conversation. His life felt richer, not because he had more, but because he appreciated more. With each passing day, Alex discovered that his loneliness had been a teacher all along. It had shown him what truly mattered: purpose, self-care, and authenticity. He started volunteering, mentoring younger students, and sharing his journey to inspire others. Giving back filled his heart in a way that nothing else had. He realized that when we shift our focus from what we lack to what we can give, we find a deeper sense of connection and fulfillment. Loneliness had once been Alex's greatest struggle, but now it was his greatest strength. He had learned that being alone was an opportunity for growth, self-awareness, and resilience. As he continued his journey, he no longer feared solitude, he embraced it. Loneliness is not the enemy, it's a guide. It pushes you to evolve, to understand yourself, and to appreciate meaningful connections. If you are feeling lonely, remember you are not broken, you are growing. Embrace solitude as a chance to rebuild, and you may find that it leads you to the most fulfilling version of yourself.